The topic for today's session is mindfulness meditation. And to take us through what mindfulness is all about, we have with us today Ms. Abhirambika Ravivarman. Abhirambika is a life and executive coach. She is a motivational speaker, facilitator, and also the founder and CEO of Green Minds, an organization which works with different segments of society, from children to corporates, on socio emotional and mental wellness. She has also done many transformational programs for corporates. She has a passion for mindfulness and has been practicing it for many years. She has completed a course in applied Buddhist psychology and is currently pursuing her Nalanda diploma course with Tibet House to enhance her knowledge. She has also been facilitated with many awards, including a Guinness Book of World Records. For the convenience of everyone, we would be happy to take the questions at the last and would request you all to please enter the questions in Q&A tab. Now, without taking any more time, I would request our speaker for the day to please take over from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Surbit, and thank you so much, team. It's a pleasure for me to be with so many of you and to be associated with Dr. Reddy. So I'm super excited about this session today. And just moving on with mindfulness, it's a very interesting way of handling our own mind and the way our own life is. That is the beauty of mindfulness, and we are going to be learning a lot about it today. So here is the first question. So in this slide, I've put a lot of points. I want you all to take a moment to read through this, and in the chat box, answer if you are, most of it you do, or some of it, or none of it. Just take a minute's time to read it, and then give your answers in the chat. Just read out some of it so you can just listen to it and probably put it in your chat. Things like, okay, experience an emotion and not be conscious of it, break or spill things because of carelessness, rush through activities without being really attentive, get focused on the goal you want to achieve, but then lose the touch with what you're doing at this moment, set something that you regretted later, found yourself preoccupied with the future or the past, snack without being aware of, that you're eating, and being nervous and couldn't sleep for some time, things like that. So this is what I've put. And in these, if you have experienced some of it or most of it or none of it, I would want your comments in the chat. Some of these, okay. I'm starting to see some answers now. Most of it, experience some emotions, some of it, some of these, okay. Most of it, some of it, most of it, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So these are some things that happens to us day in and day out. Like we really don't realize that we do it unless and until we go back to a memory and then think about it, right? Now, when such things are happening, this is the question. Where is your awareness during a time like this? And what can happen due to lack of awareness? Think about it and put it in the chat. So where is your awareness during this time? In your times when you're snacking, when you're probably going through an emotion, not realizing it, or any of it from there, what are some things that can happen? Fear, thinking about future, mind is diverted. Subconscious thinking, okay, out of mind sometimes. Great, multitasking. Awareness might not be there, but clarity not. Okay, less focused. Absolutely. Worrying, not. Beautiful, beautiful. A lot of time, I'm seeing a lot of multitasking. So I want to even address that as we go in this session and how multitasking kind of works, or whether it works or it doesn't work. Okay, so most of the times, awareness is not with us, and we seem to be doing almost everything from that slide, right? And what can happen when during lack of awareness is definitely our efficiency to a large extent goes down, because we are saying, yeah, there is people saying 100 focus is not there. So that is when it will give us a lesser performance or lesser impact in everything that we are trying to put forward, because our mind is not fully present in that moment with us and in that activity that we are doing. And that is why practicing mindfulness, so just imagine if we are always there with our mind all the time, and if we are able to really keep ourselves in the space where we want it to be, just imagine the kind of impact we will have in our own lives and in the life of people that who are around with us. So creating awareness using mindfulness is what the key element of mindfulness is all about. So the more we are aware of what's going on within us and where is my mind, we start functioning at a very, very different level. And through conscious practice of mindfulness, we will be able to achieve this significantly. Okay, right now that all of you are there in this webinar, where is your mind? What are some thoughts in your mind right now? Just as we talk and as you are here with me. Put whatever is there in your mind in the chat. Running in our head, right? Okay. Great. So if you notice in the chat as well, there are so many things going on. While we are in the webinar, our mind is again not just here, it's in many places, right? It's thinking about the future of what's going to happen after lockdown, or things like, what else is she going to tell me? Or, when will I go and buy the grocery? And if you've not had lunch, there are people who are talking about lunch. So many things go on in our mind at any point in time, and that is why we call our mind a monkey mind. I'm sure you would have heard this term. It's called the monkey mind because it keeps jumping from one place to the other before even we realize that it is already jumped to the next one, and by the time we realize it's already jumping to the next one. And that is why a lot of times we're preoccupied and not being able to bring our focus and attention to the activities that we're doing. Great, thank you so much for all these beautiful answers there. So what is mindfulness really mean? Is paying attention to the now, which is the present moment that we have in our hand, not about yesterday or not about tomorrow, which is going to come later, but enjoying every moment that we have with us at right now in our hands, right? So a very good way of explaining this would be, say, imagine when you get up in the morning, you know, first thing you would want to do is probably have a cup of hot coffee or tea or hot water, hot milk, whatever, right? That's something when we get up, once we finish our brushing and everything, we want that, right? How many of you would say, when I'm drinking coffee or the so wanted that drink in the morning, my mind is only there and not thinking about the next activity? Just think for yourself. Every day when you do it, is your mind with you? Are you really enjoying that coffee that you so badly wanted? Yes, never. Okay, no. They're not. Yes, sometimes. Very, very rarely when the coffee is not good, we want to find out, oh, what happened, right? Most of the times, we are not really enjoying that coffee that we are having, right? So that is why, again, that's a good way of understanding how our mind is working, because it's either thinking about the day's activity, or we're already sitting with a newspaper trying to read something in the paper, or we are also planning for the day, doing many other things while we're having this coffee. And by the time we go to the next activity, the mind is already in the next one. Like if you're eating breakfast, so hungry, you want to eat that breakfast so badly. But when you're eating your breakfast, your mind is not enjoying the breakfast too. So that is how we can be present and use mindfulness as a daily life, part of our life, can enable us to actually just live and enjoy the life that we are having in a much, much better way, reduce our worries. These are things that we will gain when we are actually being able to practice mindfulness to a large extent. And if you see in this, I'm saying it helps us to respond and not react. So when there is an emotion, say we are angry, instantly what we do is we react, right? That's how humans are. We do not respond. So all of these will change, and you'll start living more in the present moment. So what happens is thoughts. The most biggest thing that our mind always does is thinking, right? all our thinking becomes our words, and then our actions, our habit, our character, and then finally our destiny. So if thoughts are the origin for the way our destiny is, which means the way our life is, isn't that an important thing to be looked at regularly, very consciously, seeing, oh, what am I thinking? So a good example again there would be, if I am scared, say if I'm scared to talk, or if I'm scared about what's going to happen to me tomorrow, what are my thoughts going to revolve around? It's going to revolve around this whole concept of fear. My words would implicate that. Imagine you have to go to the grocery and then buy something. Would you really be fully confident to go? Your actions will change. And then your habits again will revolve around that. And that is how thoughts are the most important aspect. And mindfulness enables you to keep conscious awareness with the kind of thoughts that we get. And that's how powerful this can be, because the moment we are able to take control of our thoughts, then we take control of our whole life, right? Okay, now here I'm going to give one small activity. I'm going to ask you all, I'm just requesting you all. I'm sure you're sitting in a space where you've been sitting for maybe at your home, or, a space that you've been comfortable with. Just close your eyes, okay? And then look around and notice um, 5 things that you did not notice probably since morning. Okay, just quietly look around and find 5 things that you did not notice. It can be even a tiny dot, but just quietly look around and try to notice. And if you've noticed something, just say, yes, you did. Okay. Yes. Okay. So you noticed something new, right? Which you did not notice from morning. Now, where was your mind? Was your mind distracted, or was your mind with you in just noticing those 5 things? The mind was with you, not distracted, with me. Great. Okay, it was distracted for few. Okay, focused, mostly engaged mind. Brilliant. So this is one simple way of just holding your mind by consciously giving it an activity to do, like looking for something. And why did we pick a sense, which is eyes? Is these are the biggest ones which get us distracted all the time. The moment we see something, we get distracted. The moment we hear something, we want to immediately connect it, and then it goes into our memory, and then we bring out an experience of anything that could have happened along with that sound, and then we start getting into that mode, right? So the mind is, through mindfulness, through these practices, we will notice that we are able to bring the mind to where we want it to be, and not allow any other thought to flow in during the time of mindfulness practice. So I'm going to now give you a few more just for you to try it out. And this is something, it is a very, very simple exercise. I'm sure this took hardly 30 seconds for you to just look around and notice. Every day doing even this basic simple one can start increasing your attention towards your mind and your thoughts. Okay. So the next one is, now close your eyes. Okay. And try and hear 4 sounds, just 4 sounds, just quietly, 4 distinct sounds. Just see if you're able to hear. There's a beep, yeah. Sound of silence, beautiful. All 4 sounds, beautiful. Now, again, was your mind with you? Yes. Okay. It was not distracted. There was no other thought, because we are anchoring the mind to where we want it to be, right? So like this, we could do three smells. So that is also a way of practicing this using the senses. So we have with the eyes, you know what to do. Now you can hear sound. Again, you could close your eyes and try and get 3 distinct smell. Usually that is also something that we do. And for the touch, we usually, when we are sitting on a floor, we see how is the senses from the floor to my feet, or if I am sitting on a table and if my hands are on the table or on my lap, then we notice how the senses, how is it feeling? Is it feeling ticklish? Is it feeling, sweaty? Or is it feeling, what is it? That could be something with the touch. And so this is the way we can use senses, which are the reason of distraction, to bring it and start anchoring it with our mind. Okay, lovely people, great. So now I move on to share about what mindfulness is not, right? Mindfulness is not thinking about nothing. It's being aware of our thoughts. So there is always this question that people ask me, is mindfulness means thoughtlessness? So, or just zeroing everything in our hand, mindlessness. So there's lots of terminology that people pick up. There is no way we can be thoughtless. On a normal day, average human being gets 60,000 thoughts a single day. So 60,000 thoughts, imagine, we don't even know. Probably in a day, if somebody had to ask somebody, they will say, I remember maybe 15 to 20 thoughts a day, not more than that. But actually 60,000 thoughts are running in our mind. So mindfulness is just bringing awareness to, okay, this is what my mind is trying to pick up. These are the thoughts that flowing. So it is about just being aware of the thoughts and not nothing. Being happy all the time, which means it's not that I will only look for happiness, but I am going to try and be happy with what I have. If we are, say, for example, all of us are sitting at home, can I create happiness from here? What can I do to stay happy? Because happiness is something that we're all born with. I'm sure some of you in here, uh, have small kids, but if you notice them, they'll want a candy, they'll want an ice cream, they'll want something. You don't give it to them, they cry for some time, but after that they are back to normal. They just start being happy with everything. Even if they find one small dot, or a dirt on the floor, or they find one can lid, they can just find anything. They can create happiness with just that, try and play with it, and then they don't really need a structured way of doing things too. So that is how all of us as human beings are, because the happiness is something that we're all born with. It's inherent inside us, and mindfulness will touch that space. It will make you feel, uh, you know uh, touch that original happiness that we all are born with, and bring a very non-judgmental awareness to every moment. So that is mindfulness. It is a practice which is a religious practice. So if you have to talk about it, it is a mental training. So it is not spiritual, and not very religion specific again, but it is a religious practice of mind training. So that is why mindfulness is a science more than a practice in terms of a religion. Okay, so anybody could just try this. And some companies, like the names that I've put on this slide, like Google, General Mills, Huffington Post, all of them use mindfulness in their organization as a regular, everyday kind of a thing. So we've also been working with a lot of corporates to create mindfulness spots into their spaces, into their office space, so that anybody who wants to take a mindfulness break can just go there to their space and sit down, try and do many activities to get back their this thing, and then come back to work. So that is why it is a mental training, and it is never thinking about the past or the future. When we say this, there will be a lot of doubts again. If you are saying always be in the moment, then what about my goals? That is futuristic, right? And what about my experiences, which is what makes us who we are? So these are questions that people generally have. So when we say be in the present, it is about not thinking or worrying. So a good analogy for this will also be, imagine setting a goal of climbing Mount Everest, right? We want to climb, and then we start climbing. If I'm going to look at the top, that is my goal, right? I want to reach there. If I have to reach there and then keep looking at it and climbing up, do you think we'll be successful? Do you think our climb will be good? Or I look at the top and I know, okay, this is the distance, this is what I'm going to climb, but I focus on the step, every step that I'm keeping, so that I'm not putting into a pothole, or I'm not putting it over a rock and slipping back down, but I am bringing all my focus to the momentary actions that I am doing at this point, right? So that is how mindfulness is again helpful. So when we say be in the moment, don't worry too much about the future or the past, we are saying let them be as they are, because those are not things that you can change. But what you can do and change is what you can do right now and use that fully, right? Great. So if you look at it, it's a 3-step process. When we say 3-step, it's first knowing your mind. What are some triggers? Getting to know what are some thoughts that's coming in my head. What is happening really within me? And then to train my mind is the next step, where I'm saying I'm accepting things without judgment, and a purposeful pause during the day, which needs, which gives my mind the break that it needs, and then choose how we want to respond, and then letting go of things that are not going to have any impact in our this thing. So that is how we start freeing our mind. So these are 3 steps of process, and when you look at it from emotional sense, about these worry and anger and frustration and all, it really connects well, because we will be able to take the right decisions and not do it with an emotional thing in the background. So we usually say there are emotional people, there are rational thinkers, emotional thinkers. But the moment we start becoming more mindful, we'll stay in the middle, right? We will start becoming these wise thinkers. So that is how our mind will start behaving. So when you talk about practices for mindfulness, there are formal practices, there are informal practices. Formal practices are like your regular meditation. So you sit down in a space and then, close your eyes, and then we start really looking at what's going on in our head. That's the formal practice. When we talk about informal practice, it is more of bringing awareness to every activity that I do during the day. So we will try, few of both as well. So let's first do the formal practice. When we do a formal practice, it's say a 5 to 10 minutes of breathing awareness every day. It is when I breathe, obviously, all of us breathe, but this is going to be a very focused, attention-based breathing. So when I do that, my mind will wander away. It will come up with so many different thoughts. The moment we close our eyes, again thoughts are going to flood our head. When it is happening, just slowly acknowledge every thought that is coming, and then bring the attention back to the breath. So a place where we can anchor it could be this space between our nose and the lip, this part, where when we inhale, we start having this cold air which goes inside, and when we are exhaling, we are going to feel this hot air coming out of our nose. So if you start focusing in this hot cold air, we'll start bringing it back to the attention. Okay, slide not clear again for some people. Is it okay? Anyway, so I'm going to say how to do this, so you can just hear me out, and we're going to practice this now. Okay, it's clear for some people. Okay, great. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to do this bell. The moment you hear this sound, just close your eyes and then focus on your breathing. As you breathe, notice this cold air going inside, and as you exhale, notice this hot air. And every time a thought comes into your mind, slowly, very gently, acknowledge the thought, bring it back to your breath, right? So let's just try this for 1 minute. Okay, you can slowly open your eyes. Were you able to bring your attention back to your breath? Yes. Okay. Kind of, yeah. Okay. Anybody felt sleepy? No, yes. Okay. Okay. Great. So this is a simple, okay, there are people who felt sleepy. So if you didn't feel sleepy, then yeah, I would have just wondered why. Because anyway, so usually when we try this, if we are doing it for the first 2 times, yes, we would feel sleepy, but that's perfectly fine. It's just a practice. A lot of people uh, do feel it, but if you're doing it, say in the morning, or if you're doing it during a time when um, it is, so you will have to choose a time during the day to try this out, and this doesn't take really much time, right? It hardly takes about few minutes to calm our mind down, and you would have noticed multiple thoughts were coming in your head, right? For few people, okay, the various kind of thoughts would have crossed, and slowly bringing it back. And eventually when we start doing it over a period of time, you'll notice that you will you will be able to do it at a better speed, at a better way, and not feeling sleepy as well. Okay, so these are some formal practices. So we call this the cushion practice because we sit down in a space and we are doing this, and not a very difficult activity again. Okay, so if we move to the informal practices, there are a million ways to be mindful during the day. I have just put very few here, but there are a lot of ways you can be mindful. So mindful eating is one. um, I mean, I have this question: how many of you eat only eating while you're eating with no other activity, or no other watching TV or reading or watching the phone or anything else? How many of you would say, I only eat focusing on my food? Okay, one person is saying, I only eat. No, 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 I do always. Okay, few, right? Most of the times we are preoccupied with our eating too. And mindful eating is something that you can really bring as a daily practice into your lives, because if you look at our ancestors, say your grandparents, or the generation before them, the way they used to eat was extremely focused. If you see, they will never even lift. My grandma, she always tells me, don't lift your head while you're eating, because the moment you lift your head, you're going to see things and you're going to get distracted. Look at the plate. So they always make you sit on that plank, and then you sit down, look at the plate, you bend down, and you keep eating. The reason why they did that was so that you're only connected to the food that you're eating, and not really get or look around and eat with distraction. So when we do that, what happens is you're not just eating with your tongue and your hands. You're using your mind to eat. It's a lot different from just using your taste buds or your hands to eat. It's a huge way it can impact in your overall physical life itself, because nowadays obviously we talk about immunity, we talk about building strength, we do so many things, but we miss out on this basic thing of eating mindfully, looking at the food. So another question could be, if God had to create food, he could have created food with just one color, right? Green or white, could be whatever, but he created multiple colors for what? Because we had to see the food and eat. We have to enjoy the colors. We have to really look at it, relish the taste, and then eat, is how mindful eating is all about. Okay, so you could choose between your meals. I'm sure that if I say, all the meals have to be extremely mindful, then I'm asking for too much. But you can choose at least one coffee a day, or say your one meal, maybe a breakfast or a dinner, something you could choose to make that a mindful eating time consciously. So you're not doing any other activity, but only focusing on that. Okay. Moving to mindful walking. Mindful walking is about paying attention to walking. So if you notice, a lot of people now on the roads, if they're walking, morning walk, they're already listening to some story or something podcast is happening. Their hand is with the phone, they're chatting, and so again, we are preoccupied when we are walking too. So now sitting at home, if I have to tell you, use mindful walking in your everyday, then what you could do is consciously make yourself walk from one space to the other. Say if I have to walk from here to the kitchen, or to my bedroom, or to the other room, then I will make sure every time I walk between this space, I'm going to be bringing my mind, just like how we did the senses, trying to notice what's on the floor, trying to notice my steps, trying to notice my breathing while I'm walking, what is my pace of walking, all of this. And that can be a way of being, using mindfulness in our walking as well. So mindful breathing is checking our breath suddenly, when just stop and focus on your breath and see, am I breathing slowly, am I breathing fast, what's my breathing kind of, right? That is mindful breathing. Mindful listening, if I have to explain that, say for example, people who listen to music, um, not everybody who listens to music listen to the lyrics or to the beat. So there are people who listen to songs for the music sake, some for the lyrics sake. So if you are either of it, try and do the opposite. Try and listen to the beat, try and challenge yourself. Every time there's going to be a drum sound, I'm going to focus on it and capture that. Or every time there is a guitar, I'm going to now look for that. So that is how mindful listening, or when people are talking, and listening as a skill is very important, not just in the normal days, but in it comes everywhere, right? At our workspaces, it comes in understanding what the opposite person is saying, it comes in everywhere. So mindful listening, when we start doing that, we obviously start understanding how impactful our conversations itself can be. Okay, mindful breaks, if I have to explain, it's like taking conscious break between activities. Like I do one and then I go to the next one. So there were multitasking that people have been saying in the initially. uh, Multitasking really doesn't happen, right? It is always we might be doing 2 3 activities at the same time, but our mind is always with only one. So if we are doing 3 things at the same time, like I'm talking and then I am also trying to answer a mail, and then I'm trying to probably cook, while I'm doing this, my focus is at going split seconds between the three. It's going rattling between the three. So mindful breaks can help you again to pause during the day, and also give you saying one after the other, how can I move? So that is mindful break. Mindful appreciation is feeling of gratitude, feeling of gratitude towards what's happening around us. If I'm at home comfortable, if I'm um, having, so we have internet, we have AC, we have fan, we have all that, we are comfortably sitting in a space. If I can acknowledge that, that is mindfully appreciating things that I have, and feeling of gratitude, how I can be thankful for what, so that I don't go into this thing of okay, what's going to happen tomorrow. So that is being mindfully appreciating things that you have. Mindful focus is bringing your focus and attention to every time whatever activity we are doing, again comes with respect to multitasking. Now, apart from this, you have a lot more ways of being mindful. These are the core basic ones. For these, you can try even say drinking water. Every time you drink water, you tell yourself it's going to be mindful. So how do we drink water? We usually pour like this and do gad 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 like that. Instead, can I sip the water slowly? Can I take that few seconds to just bring my attention to my mind? Is mindfully drinking water. So like that, you can take it during your shower, take it during your brushing. I always say this with the kids when we do the same program with kids. I always tell them, be mindful about your, while you're brushing, because that is one activity we've been doing since we've born. The day we learn to brush, which is very, very young. And since that day, we've been doing. So always when we brush, our mind is somewhere else. So can I use that activity, which is so autopilot by nature? Can I use that to again bring my attention? Is something that you could do. So these are a lot of informal ways of practicing, mindfulness. So how do we deal? And if you have to look at context to right now, right? How do we deal with stress emotions in our life? Is because and the kind of reactions we do, because we always look at anything as a threat. That is how we are. Not just us, even animals. So if you look at a snake, if it's going in the corner and you don't go near it, it will automatically go away. The moment you are scared, and then you are like, you try and go near it to see whether it is gone, that is when it's coming to bounce back at you. So that is how, between this particular thing of reaction that we do, this fight, flight, or freeze, is always something which is, you know common between us. It comes in very instinctively to us, right? And we are always thinking everything is a problem, and we need to keep solving problems through the day. So that is when stress and emotions in our life becomes extremely tough to handle. So how can mindfulness help you with this? Is when you are mindful, you are able to pause and then do a respond. When you're not mindful, this instinctive thing of fight, flight, and freeze mode within us, and this thing of I have to solve problems because I am a problem solver is there in our mind, comes up, and then we start reacting to things. So we will be able to use our mind and heart while we are actually responding when we start practicing mindfulness. So all these impulsive reactions start to reduce, and more thoughtful responses start to come on. This is a word that you can remember, to within yourselves. Stop as a word can be something that can keep reminding you how you can do it. Is stop is just stop whatever activity you're doing. Take few deep breaths. You could be in a most stressful or most emotional moment. Just stop. Take few deep breaths. observe what's coming up for you. Is it physical changes or physical reactions that's coming emotionally, mentally? What's going on? What's arising for you within you? And then proceed after that pause and observation with the next step. So with this, we are actually taking over, we are taking control over the impulse and actually moving to a slightly different state of mind to respond to things. So this stop is something that can be easily kept in the mind. So I've used this here to explain this. So there is this concept called lifefulness where I've applied mindfulness as competencies and then brought, um, you know, a way of building ourselves to have an extremely happy life. If we have to live with awareness and if we have to live lifefully is what I call it. So lifefulness is something that I have coined, and how we can use it is, if you look at this image, there are two triangles that I've put. There is an yellow triangle and there is a blue triangle, and together it becomes the star. Now this yellow triangle is our inner self, our self which is inside, that is our awareness and all of it, and the outer one is what we show to other people, right? So if you look at awareness, the mindfulness is the starting point. With mindfulness practices, we become more aware of everything that we are doing, and the immediate next point for it is intuition. So we start strengthening our intuition really deeply, really well. So awareness and intuition together. And if you look at inherent happiness is the next part of it, which means the happiness with which I am born, the happiness which is within me, I start connecting these three. The moment I'm connecting awareness to intuition and inherent happiness, what does my outer self really come out to be is, between awareness and intuition is mindful actions. A good explanation for mindful actions would be, if I, say it is extremely sunny outside, but somewhere inside, we will feel, just take a umbrella and go, right? Sometimes we'll feel that from inside, but what will we do? We will use our logic and then look at the sun and be like, how is it going to rain today? And when we go out, we'll realize after some time it is raining. So intuition is something which is guiding you, which is telling you what to do. It's like, again, if you compare it to a child, the child is the most mindful, most connected to the intuition, because there is no other disturbance. So if a child is just newly trying to walk, right, trying to climb the stairs, still we go behind and notice the child and shout like, the child is never going to fall down. But if the child, if you push the child, say there is a swing and you tell the child, no, you go on the swing, you jump from here to there and you do this, if the child's intuition is telling no, the child will always say no, I don't want to do it. So that is how the power of intuition is so high. And the awareness also enables you to strengthen and listen to the intuition. And inherent happiness, when we have, what happens to the outer self? We are always having a positive mindset, whether it is, irrespective of whatever situation we are in, we are always going to look at the positive aspect of it and not really look at the negative aspect of it. So that is how our intuition and inherent happiness enables positive mindset. And with the inherent happiness and awareness, all I can think of is feeling gratitude that I am getting to do this. Like today, my biggest gratitude for me would be that there are 300 odd people, and I'm doing this with so many people. Maybe in their life, it can make a small difference. If that's happening, then I have to be grateful to, today and for this moment at this point. So that is how, in the current context, we can use these, and in any context, if you see, you will be able to apply it, whether it be your business or whether it be your family situation, it can be your relationship, it can be really anything. But we can really look at ourselves, keep looking back. So I am a life coach, and for me, the best beautiful thing is, anybody with whom I have this coaching conversation will be, we stay like a mirror. When we are able to reflect back what's happening in their mind, they have this aha moment. They are like, okay, I didn't even know about this, about myself, and that is coming only from them. So we will start living a very contented life if we are able to really practice these, small, simple actions. It might sound very small, but the impact of such small things in our life has a huge repercussion. It's like a ripple effect. You will start seeing the ripple effect from there. Okay, so before I go here, I have a small practice. I'm going to just give it to you. It's a 10-minute practice. It's also available on YouTube, so you can listen to it. You can also have the link and then listen to it every day. But I'm just going to play it now. I'm going to share that screen.
Everyday mindfulness practice for self-time.
Just close your eyes and listen to this.
Start with Om chanting. Om. Silence for few seconds and relax yourself. Next, we move on to the breathing exercise. Start making connections with your body. Think of how healthy and powerful your body is. Breathe in and breathe out. Add an affirmation here. I am healthier than before and I love my body. Take a few seconds silence here. You know to manage your emotions and you're well connected with others around you. You're empathetic and you're loving. Add an affirmation here. I love myself, therefore I allow myself to feel all my emotions with grace and compassion. If you have anyone whom you think might not be liking you as much, pass on a loving kindness message to them and to your own self. I may be filled with loving kindness. I may be happy and enjoy the natural joy of being alive. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be happy and enjoy the natural joy of being alive. Take a few seconds of silence here. Move to connecting yourself with the universe. Your mind is your biggest gift. Focus on it and add this affirmation. I believe in myself. My mind is filled with positive thoughts and helps me achieve everything I set my mind to. Take a few seconds of silence here. You are a speck from the universe and have the same powers as the universe. Add this affirmation here. I graciously accept the infinite abundance showered by the universe. Take a few seconds of silence here. There are many people around you, and for some reason they may have a negative impact on you with some kind of negative thoughts. Shield yourself from it using this affirmation. I am always safe and divinely protected. Take a few seconds of silence here. Think of your dreams and goals. Visualize yourself working on it with passion and how happy you are trying to achieve the goal. Visualize yourself after achieving it. Think of your expressions and satisfaction. Your emotions play a big role here. Think of all the emotions that you will get once you achieve your goal. Connect with them and feel it. Add an affirmation here. My goals are well thought of and I can achieve it. I have all the ability and resources to actually achieve it. Thanking your intuitions to take you on the right path is very critical. Connect with your intuitions and thank them again and again. Feel how your intuitions are actually taking you towards the best decisions for you. Add an affirmation here. I trust my intuitions and my life is awesome. Take a few seconds of silence here. Add a lifefulness affirmation after this. Each day in my life is full of life and I enjoy every moment. Go back to your breathing exercise. And after some silence, repeat the Om chanting for another 1 minute.
Okay. How's everybody feeling at this point? You heard it, great. Lovely. Thank you all. Thank you so much. So this is a guided one, which if you feel doing any of these is difficult, the guided one is available. That's why it's available in YouTube. So I've shared the link here. All you have to do is just put it on, sit down for 10 minutes, just go through it. I mean, just listen to it and just keep repeating those affirmations in your head. Two ways it can help you. One is the water sound is really very soothing. It always calms the mind. And the second one is these affirmations. Um, along with visualization, because you're visualizing something. The power of visualization along with affirmations create strong impact in your mind. So it can really change, take you on a different path in terms of the way you're leading your life. So it can make a huge difference that way. And before, I mean, we're almost towards the end and we have some time for questions, but before that, I'm just ending with this thought from Buddha, which is one of my favorite when it comes to mindfulness. I really go by this. The secret of health for the mind and body is not to mourn for the past or worry about the future or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. So, and that is what I have. I hope you enjoyed, and now we can move to some questions. I'm going to go to the Q&A box. Okay. Okay, so there are already some questions here. I'm just going to, there are questions which is coming on the chat as well.
So, Virambika, first of all, thanks for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
So we'll take few questions. I think I've made a note of 2 or 3 questions. The rest you can also just check. So the first one goes, sometimes we have nothing going on in our mind, right? Okay. And we are completely blank. So what does that mean?
Okay, so ideally there is no moment like that. It's just that we are probably preoccupied with something else, because of which we feel the mind is not really thinking. At any point in time, our mind is thinking about something. It is always but it's just that we are not aware of what's the thought that's going on right now. It's again being preoccupied is what I would say.
So you mean to say there is no time that we are not thinking about anything?
Absolutely. Mind is always thinking. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Next up is, how can we stop overthinking and how can we forget the bitter past?
Okay, so through mindfulness as a practice itself, if you regularly do it every day, and all you need to do is probably spend about 10 minutes a day, maybe, and that itself can reduce this, because bitter past, we are sticking on to it, which is again and again coming back, means we are bringing it back, and that is creating again bitterness throughout. So it is better to go through the moment, think about what you want to do about it, and then let it go. Tell your mind that I'm letting go of this, and then keep moving forward is what I would say.
Great. Next is, so mind learns based on the experiences we have had. How do we train our mind to learn new things and not just rely on the experiences? So maybe the artificial intelligence which is coming up.
Okay. So the mind is, the beauty about mindfulness is we can always be with the beginner's mind. We call it the beginner's mind or the child's mind with curiosity. So imagine, what we did today, right? In this exercise also, you're sitting in the same space that you were sitting all along, but you looked for new things and you found it. So it is like you're not assuming that there won't be any new things. So I'm like, why should I look around? I already know this space. Instead, we're telling our mind, now look around. No, there will be something. You might really find a tiny dot, like a small scratch on the wall, which you never noticed. You're sitting right there. So that is how you can practice your mind to have this beginner's mind, so that if you're always looking for the best things that's or the things as it is around you.
Yeah, am I audible?
No, no, I didn't hear your next question.
Yeah. So next is, what are positive and negative thoughts?
Okay, beautiful. So there is nothing called positive or negative thought in the sense every thought has a vibration and it has an impact. If I want something, for example, say I'm going for an interview and then I really want that job very badly. Okay, what can I think that I am good enough, I have really prepared well, and I am going to get this interview. The other way of looking at is I am scared. What if there are 1,000 people coming? What if I be only one among that 1,000 who's not doing well? Or what, there are other things that create, you need recommendation, you need this is another way of looking at it. So every time we think of other things to keep ourselves safe and all of it, then I would call those thoughts which are not helpful. So I would rename this thought to helpful thoughts and unhelpful thoughts. So all negative thoughts in that sense could be unhelpful to us. Like right now, when we are all at home and going through this pandemic, I would prefer to think that yes, we are going to come back with more rigor and we are going to do things much better in a more sustainable way, is a way of looking at it positively. If I could, in the same way, if I'm thinking, oh, now what's going to happen to my business, is not helpful to me. So that is how I would want to look at both.
Okay. How can we make our mind to not worry about the future? So now again, I think this is what the mindfulness is all about.
It is all
But
about.
maybe your final take on this.
Okay, so worrying is about the fear of what can go wrong, right? It is creating that anxiety. It is about being prepared. That is, our mind is preparing ourselves for something can go wrong. That is worrying. And in fact, there are parents who always use this term, saying, I worry about you to the child. The more we say that to the child, what are we trying to tell the child? You are not good enough, so I'm so worried about you. Rather, instead of worrying, what actions can I take? If I just replace that word in my head and not say worry, instead I would say, what are my actions going to be? What better actions am I going to do? Can slowly reduce this worry in our head, because worry is something which has been deeply rooted into all our heads from the very beginning. If exams are coming, if say math is a subject we have been used to said that maths is coming, aren't you worried about it? So it's become like a lingo which has to be changed. The affirmations that we just heard in this meditation can help you with that.
Okay. Next up is uh, how mindfulness is different from heartfulness.
Okay, so it is all part of the whole, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is like the starting point. It's basically a science of understanding my mind. That is all, right? So when I'm really understanding my mind, my heart is connected to it. So I'm able to really, heartfulness is more of compassion, gratitude. Mindfulness is more to do with my mind. So in fact, my company is called Green Minds. The reason why we termed it in such a way is, if I could have all intentions to go and plant a tree, but then I will go and plant some 10 saplings everywhere, but if I don't water it and make sure it is turning into a tree, then I'm not doing my part properly. So that is where conscious awareness in every action mindfulness brings in. So these are kind of interconnected and slightly different only in this sense.
Yeah. So one question says, one of the best law in life is law of attraction. What
Hmm.
is your suggestion to the participants on this?
Okay, so law of attraction works beautifully, but not to everybody who has bought the secret book and read it. And this is also a good question. A lot of people ask me this question. Law of attraction works when we believe in it. So every thought has a belief along with it, right? It's like it's pinned together. So when I am thinking, I want something, I want to attract something, I have to first believe in it without worry and fear. So mindfulness can be a step towards attracting what you want. So a good example again in my own life is when I wanted a house. I was working with a bank before, so my mind used to only work in terms of finance. So before my son was born, I really wanted to buy this house. But what was happening was so many things were happening, and we were not even getting the house that we wanted. So But only thing that kept me was somehow we will buy it. And it so happened that just 1 month before he was born, somebody came from somewhere, one uncle came and said, I want to sell my house at a very, very low rate compared to what was going on in this thing. So we bought the house before 1 month that he was born. So the way it got attracted is my belief that something will happen and my house will come. So law of attraction works for people who believe in it without doubt.
I think well said, because I am also a firm believer of law of attraction, and I'm blessed in that way. And the only secret of this is that you need to be you need to trust what is happening around you, and just don't make any logics.
Absolutely.
Don't find out logics.
Yes. So the wise mind, what I mentioned here, the rational mind and the emotional mind, be in
Yes.
the middle to get your law of attraction working. And in my life, every step, every place that has worked so well, and it will work.
True, true, true. I think so. Mindfulness is also a part of law of attraction, or vice versa.
It
So
is. It is
yeah,
a step one into anything, is what I
yeah,
was saying. This is like once I am able to do this, then I'm able to do everything else without much trouble.
definitely. Next is how mindfulness can contribute to the attitude of the person.
Okay, so the attitude of the person comes up when they believe that, I know it all, or the ego comes in the place, or things like, who is he? The judgment, right? So when the competencies of mindfulness itself is to remove all of this, to have a beginner's mind, to be able to handle emotions, and to be non-judgmental. So automatically the attitude will become in a way that it is accepting everything that's happening. So a good, again, I can show you, if I'm showing, okay, let me show this. If I'm showing this phone, what do you see? What do I see? We don't see the same, right? You see the back cover of my phone, whereas I see the front part of it. So mindfulness will enable you to think about perspectives very clearly. Both are same, but we are assuming the opposite side. So attitude will change when we are able to bring this change.
Correct. Well said. So I'll take two last questions, Arambika.
Sure.
How to make mindfulness a habit, and also to our children at home?
Okay, so it's a conscious practice again. So what I do is I did a 21 day with people starting on March 18th. We did a full 21 day so that people get into it as a habit. We are also doing one more on 14th, where you can probably join that group if it interests you, and then practice it with me every day, so that this doesn't go off with just this webinar, but you're also getting to do something every day from there. So I can probably share the WhatsApp group here if you're interested. But it is again a conscious practice. That is when it will become a habit, not just for mindfulness, that applies to anything that we want to change in our life or create something new. So the only way is put up something, look at it every day and say like, okay, I have to do this, and get into it and start enjoying the changes that it's bringing. It will slowly get into your system. So I'm just going to
Agreed.
share the, yeah.
Yeah.
So we are just doing a 10-day. So I've just shared the chat. In the chat, I've shared the WhatsApp link. So anybody who's interested, we are doing it. We are starting on 14th of April. For 10 days, we are going to be doing mindfulness. It's more like a challenge. So you can challenge yourself. Once you do it for 10 days, I'm sure you can start doing it after that as well.
Yeah. So the last one is there any specific time for doing meditation? If at all, yes, then what is the best time?
Okay, so I'll answer this in two parts. To do meditation, the best time would be when you get up, because your thoughts are pretty much lower. So the kind of distractions that you will get into is less. But when we call mindfulness, the informal practices that we came up, what I've suggested here, can be done through the day. Till you go to bed, you can just choose it during any time of the day and then do it. So if you choose the formal practice, I would suggest first thing in the morning, and probably just last before we go to bed. Informal practices through the day, anytime.
Great, great. So, wonderful to have you with us today, Arambika, and I think the participation was also phenomenal, even in between the sessions and after the session as well. And with this, on behalf of Dr. Reddy's, I thank our speaker and all the participants for taking time out. And we wish all your days be full of positivity and good health, because good health can't wait. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Thank
Stay
you so
home,
much, everybody.
stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.